really met any of my online friends before. I mean, I've had plenty of friends who were temporary, friends who I'd only put in quotation marks, and friends that, if I did fall backwards, would still catch me, but I've never really met any of them. With that all said, though, even if you do meet said friend, what would happen if you got, say, oh, I don't know, fucking murdered? That's a pretty big deterrent, not gonna lie. Let's make it worse, because while I do not think that I am an introvert, or at least not a full-blown one, I do think I am, however, a fucking neat hikikomori femcel, didn't go to college, all-room dwelling, shrimp posture having ass bitch. And poor, so no traveling. But that's just what I thought at the time, because I was wrong. Yeah, foreshadowing. I first met my bestie when I was very much struggling. I had been chugging away at YouTube for an entire year, and I still didn't know what I wanted to do on it, or if I even enjoyed doing it. Again, a year for something that was supposedly my dream. And in that time, there was at least one thing that was clear to me. I wanted to be a part of the Storytime animation community. My original plan was just to do it all when I already had a level of success, because I figured, wow, getting one of those channels started looks insanely hard. Not to mention, if I started one now, it'd be really lonely. Not that it already isn't. But then one day I got recommended a little video called Going to an Art School Was Not What I Expected by Dragon Does Art, my fellow small animator friend, who wasn't my friend at the time, but I imagined them to be because we'd make some bomb-ass friends. And we did. I just put them in one of my videos, and then they liked it, and then they got to voice over one of my worst videos ever. And then some Discord things happened over a few months, and then we were friends. Yippee! Everyone deserves somebody like that. And like I hinted at before, growing up, a lot of my friends were just okay-ish. Like, it always felt like there was either this invisible mental barrier between us that kept out any earnest interaction. Maybe I had to be the one to do all of the initiating, or maybe we just straight up shouldn't be friends in the first place. Which I know is fine, rationally, it just hurts. But it happens. And that's why this one is so special to me, because Vel is none of those things. Vel is my bestie. There's somebody I don't feel judged at all around. In fact, there's somebody I feel safe around. Maybe even complete around. All I'm saying is, even as somebody who considers herself pretty happy overall, there is a certain happiness you can only get from perhaps the deepest of bonds. And it's wonderful. You see, one day I made a video where I mentioned a small Pennsylvania-based store called Rite Aid, but though we should just call it Left Aid because copyright. And it's funny. Mine was 24 hours, and they never heard of a 24-hour Rite Aid. So I just kind of doxed that I lived in Pennsylvania. And they did too, because they're also from PA. Like, what? Not only that, a month later, they tell me.
So, guess who's going to Philly in December?
Yo, what's the occasion?
Do you know Aurora?
Sadly not. Just imagine me screaming this because I need to use my indoor apartment voice right now, but they are coming to the Fillmore in Center City, where I live in Philadelphia. Holy crap. Also, if I sound a little different, it is also because I got that stank-ass flu. But needless to say, I'm freaking excited. I don't even need to get my driver's license yet. I got public transit, bitch. Right here in Philadelphia. Now, your parents might have given you some ideas about Philadelphia, if you will. Damn, I wonder who they fucked up tonight. You motherfucker!
Got his ass.
All I'm gonna say as a native of this place, as no exaggeration of its danger, that is all 100% true. Because if you come here, we will throw batteries at you like you are Santa Claus on December 15th, 1968, and I will shank you with a cheesesteak. This is in no way something I'm feeding into as a way to keep our rent prices affordable in a major metro city. No, but in all seriousness, the main rule I hear for safety here is use your street smarts, do not cross this line, do not go to Kensington, and do not be a Dallas Cowboys fan. That last one is not a joke, by the way, because I once walked past some dude threatening a Dallas Cowboys fan, and the fact that I couldn't tell if it was serious or in jest should give you enough of an idea. Fast forward. At this point, we also know a lot about each other, but the one thing we do not know is what we look like. But as artists, what if you just drew yourself and then sent each other the drawing as a face reveal? That's what we did. I told my parents I was meeting them and they were giving me the whole, have you seen his face? What if he kills you? He's William Afton. What if he's a League of Legends player who doesn't shower? And all I'm gonna say is they don't know this, but I grew up on Mr. Nightmare True Horror Stories as a 12-year-old, so I know the risk I'm getting into, and I know fully well that Belle isn't that kind of person. They're not the envy behind the slaughter. They're my friend. I also planned to attack them with a jumping leg hug when I saw them, but unfortunately, they predicted that. Somehow. You psychic. The day we were also getting rolling, we were racing each other to see who'd get here first on their train, Amtrak or SEPTA. Although, unfortunately, something did come up while I was on it, because I was on an empty train car at the moment, and while I was grumbling about how much stuff I was carrying, I got catcalled. You know you got real pretty eyes. Looking sexy. God, please just fucking go away. He's blocking the seat, so if I need to spray this bitch, I need to book it. Ugh. At that point, though, I just wanted to see my Pookie. And yeah, I am excited, but I'm also nervous. Like, I'm not that familiar with the layout of Center City ever, so, like, if I take us down the wrong turn, I could easily just get us kidnapped or killed. And like, what if I'm ugly? What if I ruin it just by being really, really awkward? It's just, I wanna make a good first impression. But yeah, I was at the big Christmas tree.
Oh, I can see you.
Wait, where?
Here, I'll wave.
I didn't ambush them with my leg hug just because there's people watching them and my bags are heavy, but when we got back to the Airbnb, we've also been developing our own little language that we finally took into public, and it's called autism. Allow me to demonstrate. So the film war is at Fishtown tomorrow, and Fish.
Where?
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 Where? Where? Where? Where? I got Fanta in my system. Fanta in my system. I got Fanta in my system.
Fanta in your system.
The child.
The child.
The child.
Concert day is on, and I feel kind of uneasy. And I had that, and those fears were pile driven away because they got me this big gift box. They asked me about all the things that I really liked, but my favorite was this. It's the art they made me at work, and I have it as my picture. It's just, I love it. Today we also visited the Chinatown nearby. We passed through there today, but we also had a proper look through Tuesday, and I'm just lumping them together because that's easier, and we got a crepe that day too. You might be wondering how somebody with a mask would eat something so messy, but while they could handle some yogurt, orange chicken, and sleeping, a crepe was the final exception. We also shared it. And now I know what they look like without their mask on. Kura sushi. Why am I recording this at 3 a.m., by the way? This was my culinary exiting Plato's cave moment. For one, this place feels really futuristic because your food is served on these conveyor belts next to everyone's table. You pluck your food out of the container and then put a plate down in the tube thingy when you're done. There's also a robot that serves you his drinks. Don't worry, he's not the kind trying to steal from artists or waste taxpayer dollars, because if he was, we're in Philadelphia. Remember what happened to Hitchbot? Doing all this walking afterwards, too, just got me thinking that this was probably the closest I'll ever get to visiting Japan in a while, because I'm broke. There was also a Barnes & Noble across the street, and that is important because once upon a time, Val and their friends went into one, and there was this naughty manga that had a scene that looks like One Man, One Jar, and this made them yell in their indoor voice, "Picked by shot glass! Picked by shot glass!" And the penultimate highlight, Spencer's. They have some interesting items. I've never actually been in one, and now that I have, if I had more disposable income, I would have gotten the My Bitch Autistic shirt they had there, or something else, because, I mean, just imagine it. Imagine my fit. We did all get friendship bracelets, though. Here's it on Masona's hand, and here's it on real life. I wear it for good luck and safety whenever I come back to the city. And finally, Aurora. I've never actually been to a concert before, but there's a lot of social events I really want to go to sometime. Somebody was passed out in there, probably because it's hot as balls in concerts, or at least the one we went to. They wanted to haul out a stretcher, but none was needed. And also, your ears should be ready because them speakers are loud. I wasn't an Aurora fan either, but I also do remember going from, I'll just stand here and vibe to the song, people think I'm weird if I do anything extra, to, yeah, I'm bopping my head. Pro tip, focus on the bass line so you can headbang in stereo and learn how to hear the instruments separately. 2, full on jumping and not worrying about bumping anybody. My favorite was Heathens, by the way. And just like whenever you can loosen up out of anxiety and just flow with the moment, especially with your bestie by your side, you're like water going to boil. That makes the whole thing worth it, whether it's concerts or whatever you do for that thing. And then we went home at 12 midnight, which was scary as hell, and we chased a rat. Today I figured I should give him a little tour of the city, since I haven't gone to the art museum since I was in 8th grade, but I have a lot more appreciation for the arts now than I did when I was in my no-confidence edgelord phase. We will pack a cheesesteak for lunch. We will bring our sketchbooks. We will do the Rocky run up the steps. We will
not open on Tuesdays.
So I figured I should just take him to Old City instead, because it's got some of the old architecture we should build more of, and it's like being in the 18th century for a minute. We also have a really fancy Wawa here, a legend of the East Coast. What is Wawa? It's heaven riding, and I am its Wa warrior. I hear this place is really good if you're like high and it's 3 a.m. and you're looking for munchies. They'll tried out the peppermint mocha, and they said it was better than those union-busting frauds, and cheaper, which isn't a high bar, but still. I love you, Wawa, and your overpriced late-night food. Please sponsor me. I want money. So after that, we got our cheesesteaks, and I took them to Jim's Steaks on South Street. It's like a nice mix of touristy, but also pretty local, and I've tried it before, so I know they're good. Since I'm a Philadelphian talking to you about cheesesteaks, not quote-unquote Philly cheesesteak, prepare yourself for a rant. Physically, mentally, spiritually, conceptually. So first off, if you're out of the city or even out of the East Coast, if they call it that, 9 times out of 10, that shit's ass. The bread is always drier than a Popeye's biscuit. They put some disrespectful ass toppings on it, and I don't even know what the fuck this thing is, but we don't even eat that. Like one time I was in a steak shop and I overheard the cook saying, "So what's your favorite thing to make?" And he just says, whenever some tourist who comes in here and just says, "Just give me one with everything on it." It's not hard to get right either. It's just bread, preferably an amoroso roll that's been toasted to hold all that meat and cheese that's been melted. And then you take cheese, that'd be Cooper Sharp Cheese Whiz, or provolone if you like real cheese, and then just a nice juicy ribeye steak chopped up and put all in there. It's done right, it's a work of art, and the bread is like what rice is to sushi. As I have also very subtly hinted at, we are going to VidCon this year, and all I'm going to say is California. Prepare yourself. You know, part of me really wanted to go home with them. Would have helped with the post-friend depression, as we called it. But I can't. Love you.
Love you too.
But, you know, it's okay. They're not dead. They're just gone. And, like, it's fine. I only cried for about 15 minutes on the station. You know, they're not gone forever. I have their Discord. We're seeing each other again in June, and they can always drop by for the art museum again sometimes whenever I get that bag. So I went outside knowing all of that. And then I ugly cried again for half an hour on the bridge. But, it was fine, because I went home, and I cried again. At least when I got home, I cried again. Because I still miss my Pookie. And that Airbnb was like home to me. Second home. It might have only been 3 days and similarly or seemingly ungrandiose, but can I just say after how pretty shitty the second half of 2024 was for me, I'm very happy to say that this little trip and meeting my Pookie was the highlight of my year. In no small part thanks to them. And I honestly felt like a whole new person afterwards. So, moral of the story? Bro, I need to get out of the suburbs. This place sucks. Guess who's back? Back again. SoulNight says, tell a friend. Yesterday, or more specifically 2 or 3 yesterdays ago because it's May 13th, but May 10th was my birthday. Your local 21-year-old just became the local 22-year-old. And she is no longer headed to the nursing home. She is headed to the nursing home with oatmeal cookies. And on the topic of that, it's a very cliche thing to say, I know, but I would like to thank you all for last video reaching as many of it as it did. We got so many new recruits to the Soul Army, it's just, I haven't seen them in a bit. And I also want to thank y'all if y'all were one of those and you sticked around to watch this the whole way through too, even if I'm not always making some videos shitting on stuff that admittedly kind of warrants it. It was honestly pretty terrifying too, honestly. Having so many people just pull up all of a sudden, it's like, that's scary. But also, it's like a mix of, So that's what it's like. As for where I've been, and a mess is where I've been. That would have been explained here, but that would take too long, and I figure I should just make that an announcement video. All I'm just gonna say is if you are here for the old end screen of social anxiety struggles, I think you know what I'm referring to, and yeah, it's partially that. It's also the fact that I think I'm just bad with time management right now. And finally, of course, my bestie, Dragon Does Art, aka Vel, or Belle. As a fellow animator, they are also going to have a Storytime animation on this, featuring a lot of the things I had to cut out of it due to time restraints. I will be making a community post, and of course, a part of that in the end screen here when that's finished. It should take about 10 days, as they said. And when I got as many of y'all to come in as you did and get recruited to the Soul Army, I made this with the intention to also help them out, because they have also been getting fucked over by their job and insurance despite their health problems, which I know is unfortunately something a lot more of you, an alarming amount in fact, can relate to in the United States of corn syrup. Really though, if you want to, and I always need to emphasize that, if you could support them or just check out their channel, I would appreciate that. They're the one who paid for most of our VidCon trip, which was over $1,000, so I want to pay them back. I'm Soul, and I will see you later, recruits.